5th of March. Chair, that is the current position. We are ready to continue engaging with the unions to achieve a speedy and amicable resolution of the industrial action and to ensure that the operations of our universities return to normal. We are open to the good faith and candid negotiations, and that's why we were keen on the verification of the actual balance, because there was a divergent view of what was outstanding. Chair, now that the amount is not in dispute, what we need to agree on is the payment arrangements, given that this is a significant amount that had not been budgeted for. Chair, on the issue of the 2025-2029 CBA between the unions and IPUCCF, SRC has issued negotiating beacons, which I think the Secretary General has referred to guide the negotiations. And there has been an appeal on the opening of that space to allow for further negotiations so that they can come to an agreed position. And at this juncture, I wish to invite our team from the IPUCCF to make the presentation on the 2017-2021 CBA, as well as the status of the negotiations of the 2025-2029 CBA.
Professor, I'm seeing the CS has taken around 6 minutes. You'll use 14 minutes. Yes. If you can use less, it will be good.
Yes, Honorable Chair, I'm likely to use less.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable members. IPCF appreciates this opportunity to engage with the committee on a matter of national significance, which directly affects industrial harmony, fiscal sustainability, and the continuity of learning and research in our public universities. With regard to the funding of 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreements, IPCF would respond and state as follows. Number one, that following the signing of the 2017-2021 CBAs on 28th of October 2019, the government disbursed 8.8 billion between financial years 2020-2021 and financial year 2021-2022 to facilitate implementation across the 38 public universities and constituent university colleges that benefited from the said CBAs. Chair, during the subsequent technical engagements, IPUCCF and the three trade unions, that is WASU, KUSU, and GUDEA workers, jointly determined that full implementation of the said CBA would require 16.57 billion, inclusive of the employer pension component. A joint verification exercise coordinated by the Ministry of Education was conducted by SRC and IPUCCF between 18th and 21st of October 2025. The exercise confirmed a reconciled and verified outstanding balance of Kenya shillings 7.944 billion as the amount required to fully implement the CBA 2017-2021. Subsequently, the Joint Negotiations Committee, comprising IPUCCF and the three trade unions, formally adopted the said amount at a meeting held on 24th October 2025 at Machakos University. Consequently, Chair, there is no dispute on the balance of 7.944 billion required to fully settle the 2017-2021 CBAs. It is notable that during the meeting of 24th October 2025, IPUCCF invited the three unions not only to deliberate and agree on the outstanding amount for full implementation of the 2017-21 CBAs, but also to agree on two other things. One, the payment plan for outstanding arrears arising from the 2017-2021 CBAs, and number two, a return to work formula for WASU and KUSU to ensure that normalcy would return to the public university sector. In the said meeting, IPUCCF, having consulted with the parent Ministry of Education, proposed to the trade unions that the outstanding arrears be paid installments. However, the trade unions insisted on immediate one-off payment for the 2017-2021 CBA arrears. Further, the two trade unions, WASU and KUSU, declined to call off the industrial action. They were categorical that they will only call off the strike or resume work when two conditions are fulfilled. That is, one, the outstanding arrears of 2017-2021 CBA are fully settled, and two, the 2025-2029 CBA is negotiated, signed, registered, and implemented. Honorable Chair, the matter of funding has since been referred to the relevant government organs for consideration of appropriate funding modalities and for administrative and budgetary review. Therefore, Chair, just to emphasize that there is no more a dispute between the unions and IPUCCF. All that is required is for payment of the agreed amounts. With regard to the status of 2025-2029 collective bargaining agreement, IPUCF would like to state that each of the three trade unions submitted their CBA proposals for 2025-2029, which were duly acknowledged by IPUCCF, as we have already illustrated in the table and the figures. We received WASU proposal on 3rd February 2025, KUSU proposal on 13th February 2025, and their workers on 27th February 2025, and we duly acknowledge them. In accordance with the SRC guidelines, Honorable Chair, on collective bargaining agreements, IPUCF is required to submit to SRC the documents that we have received together with our recommendations. And therefore, we submitted to SRC these documents on 10th of June 2025. And what we submitted to SRC were individual union demand proposals and also the consolidated recommendations by IPUCCF on what we were proposing to offer the unions. The SRC, Honorable Chair, responded via its letter dated 25th of September 2025, and that provided the negotiation parameters, or what is commonly called beacons, and a further guidance of the letter further guidance was provided by SRC letter dated 6th of October. Honorable Chair, I would like this Honorable House to note that between the time we received our proposals and what we submitted to SRC, there was a lull because of absence of the commissioners. Here, having received the responses of the unions to our counter proposal, IPUCF has analyzed the advisories received from SRC and have subsequently prepared counter offers, which it prepared counter offers which were tabled before the respective unions between February 10th and Friday 10th, Saturday 11th, and Sunday 12th of October. Honorable Chair, IPCF received responses and appeals from the three trade unions on the dates as indicated. Subsequent to receiving the appeals of the trade unions, IPUCF has analyzed these responses, and IPUCF has developed appropriate counter responses to the unions, and IPUCF is currently undertaking the process of consultations with the relevant government and constitutional organs, subsequent to which, Honorable Chair, the final phase of the ongoing negotiations with the trade unions will be concluded. IPUCF continues to act swiftly and strictly within the guidelines given by SRC and in consultation with the relevant government agencies. And IPUCF Chair will continue to work collaboratively with all relevant stakeholders to ensure lawful, transparent, and sustainable implementation. Here, we have made a small reflection on litigation proceedings in relation to the 2017-2021 CBS and 2025-2029 CBS. Upon commencement of the industrial action by the three trade unions, IPUCF proceeded to court. Subsequently, the court issued orders interdicting the strike on 17th and 18th September 2025 for Kudeha workers and the WASU and KUSU respectively. The said orders were further extended on 15th of October 2025 for the matters of WASU and KUSU, and we have provided an annexure of those orders. The orders of the Employment and Labor Relations Court also directed the parties to a conciliation process under the auspices of the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, as our partners have mentioned. The conciliation meeting took place on 24th of September 2025, and the report of the conciliator dated 30th September 2025 was subsequently filed in court, and we have provided Annexure 3 of the same. The Employment and Labor Relations Court has, in the intervening period, indicated that in the absence of a consent agreement between IPCF and the two trade unions of WASU and the KUSU, a ruling has been set down for 11th of December 2025. However, Honorable Chair, it is important to note that Kudeha workers had suspended their industrial action on 19 September 2025 after the Industrial Labor Relations Court interdicted their industrial action on 17th of September 2025. And thereafter, the dispute was amicably settled through a consent adopted dated 15th October as the judgment of the court on 22nd October 2025, and we have presented an annexure. Honorable Chair, the IPUCCF prays and implores this committee on three things. These are our prayers. Number one, we implore the committee to take cognizance of the ongoing strike, which continues to disrupt teaching, learning, and research across the public universities, and to support all efforts aimed at restoring industrial harmony. Our second prayer, Chair, is that we implore this honorable committee to support the Ministry of Education, the National Treasury and Economic Planning, and SRC in providing the requisite budgetary allocation so that we can dispose of the issues at hand. And the third and final prayer to this honorable committee, Chair, we implore the committee to take note of the court orders issued by the Industrial Labor Relations Court, as well as the inordinate suffering that the disruption of teaching and learning has continued to inflict on public university students, and implore WASU and KUSU to call off the ongoing industrial action to allow the resumption of normal university operations in the public interest. I submit, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Professor Barasa. I think you've used actually less minutes. And from your submissions and even the submissions of WASU, you look like you are at a point of convergence. What you are saying, what they are saying, I'm not seeing any conflict.
There's no conflict whatsoever.
Especially on monies, it is now about how to implement what you have arrived at, is it? And I think
I confirm that,
that is okay. National Treasury?
Thank you, Honorable Chair and honorable members of the committee, my colleague from the from the Ministry of Education, and the various trade unions represented here, together with our team from the university management. Chairman, really don't have much to say, and I will request, because I had indicated that I would be joining another meeting at 1:15, that I make a very short few remarks, short presentation, and if you'll allow me, I'll step out. If I'll be needed again, I will make myself available for whatever assignment we needed to carry out. But let me make my formal submission as is the procedure. The National Treasury makes this submission on the funding of the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreement for universities employees as follows. I know the background we have laid the background, both parties have laid the background, but let me just state as follows, that the University's Academic Staff Union, WASU, and the Kenya University Staff Union, KUSU, commenced their industrial action on 17 September 2025 regarding the implementation of the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreement. It is noted that on the 28th of October 2019, the Interpublic Universities Council Consultative Forum, IPUCCF, jointly with WASU and KUSU, computed and signed the cost of the CBA at 13.81 billion. However, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, SRC, recommended 8.8 billion as had been stated before. Consequently, the unions took the matter to the Employment and Labor Relations Court, arguing that the recommended amount was not adequate as it did not consider the annual increment and the resultant pension liability. The court, in its ruling delivered on 15th January 2021, concurred with the computation by the Joint Implementation Committee. Hence, the total cost of implementing the CBA was determined to be 16.57 billion, including pension liabilities. The government later lodged an appeal on the matter at the Court of Appeal regarding the ruling by the Employment and Labor Relations Court. The matter has been in court until on 10th of April 2025, when the Office of the Attorney General, through a letter, informed the State Department of Higher Education of the Court of Appeal's decision, which was delivered on 28th March 2025, dismissing the appeal and advised for implementation of the 2017-2021 CBA to avoid further litigation. Now, on implementation of this CBA, 2017-2021, to implement the CBA, the National Treasury has provided a total of about 8.8 billion as follows: 6.6 billion appropriated in financial year 2019-2020, and then later another 2.2 billion appropriated in financial year 21-22. So what are the actions following the collapse of the government's appeal at the Court of Appeal? Following that, the directive of the court, the State Department for Higher Education, in collaboration with SRC, IPUCCF, and the universities, have undertaken a verification exercise on the implementation of this CBA. The verification has confirmed that based on the court's ruling, a total of 8.8 billion was disbursed against a total requirement of 16.57 billion. And this has been confirmed by SRC in a communication dated 24th October 2025. In view of the foregoing, the State Department has written to the National Treasury for concurrence to settle the 7.76 billion outstanding disbursement for the 2017-2021 CBA in three phases as set out here below. Financial year 25-26, 2.16 billion. Financial year 26-27, 2.8 billion. And then financial year 27-28, 2.8 billion. The National Treasury concurred with that position, given the very tight fiscal framework that the financial year 25-26 budget is being implemented. In fact, I wish to state, Chairman, that immediately this communication reached the National Treasury, our internal team were engaged to look at the effect and the impact it would have on our fiscal framework. And having satisfied themselves that they'd done due diligence, this communication was made online to me. I was in Angola as a chairman, and I gave the approval online. However, since then, I was again reliably informed by my colleague, the Ministry of Education, that this offer was not accepted. And we have since consulted within government, even though with the tight fiscal space that we are in, and the government committed to fund the CBA in two installments. That is 50% in financial year 25-26, and then 50% in 26-27. I wish just to state the following two additional information, Mr. Chairman. First, that the National Treasury would request that we make a commitment that we would be able to honor and respect. That is what happened last year when we had a similar dispute. We committed ourselves, Mr. Chairman, to a phased payment of the CBA 21-25. And I think we are on track on that without any default. Mr. Chairman, it would interest this committee and the Kenyan public to note that our economic stability is improving. If you look at our macroeconomic fundamentals, are looking better than they were probably 2 or even 1 year ago. But if we don't maintain the trajectory that we have taken in sustaining and maintaining our economic stability, then we will slide again to where we were, and the effect may be disaster. Don't know whether, Mr. Chairman, you are aware, but I believe you are, that this country almost defaulted in paying their loan last year, which almost caused economic disaster. And therefore, we would not even be talking about CBAs to implement today. We would actually be talking about whether we can sustain our workforce in employment. And so I am cautioning that as we discuss, and I agree that our lecturers, our staff who teach in our public universities are not adequately remunerated, and they need even better salaries, including other public servants. But again, we must also be alive to the challenges that we are facing. And in conclusion, it would also interest you to know, Chairman and the committee, that in 2013, we were only spending about 16% of our ordinary revenue in terms of taxes in paying public wage bill. Today, Mr. Chairman, we have gone beyond 40% in a period of less than 12 years. Up to January this year, we were paying, our wage bill per month was 75 billion shillings, translating to 900 billion shillings per year. Today, it has gone up by 5 billion shillings more per month. It is now 80 billion shillings. That is 960 billion shillings per year. And that is not very good position to be in. It is not sustainable. And we'll end up crowding out capital expenditure if we are not careful. And if you crowd out funding of our development budgets, we will not have economy growing at all. And therefore, we may not even in future be able to pay salaries and meet other recurrent costs. I submit, Mr. Chairman, that this matter is looked into. We care about our public university staff, but we also plead that we agree on a formula that would not put excessive strain on our us. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, CS National Treasury. You also made a request that you'll want to leave early. I'd request that we'll be out of this place at not more than at 1:20. You want to be out, but most of the questions we'll ask will still come back to you. I'd wish that you sit through for the next 20 minutes. If there is anything you need to add and put, it will be good. I'll ask members that we want to be out of this room at 1:30. So I want to open the floor. And we want to be very specific and straight in our questions. I'll only have one round of questions, and then we shall conclude. I'll want you not to give opinions now. Ask questions and specific to the institutions. If it is to the unions, Ministry of Education, National Treasury, let it be specific to the point. Each member will actually ask 2 questions. And if you think your colleague has asked more than that question, kindly do not, because we are constrained on time. CS, I want to ask this question on especially the last one to CS National Treasury. You've given an offer of, first of all, let me say, the issue now is on the implementation. You've given an offer of 50%. Is it, are the unions aware? Are you aware of doing, don't answer, you'll answer that. Are you aware that what the CS is saying, 50%, 50%, 2025, which is actually supplementary, and the actual one? Are you aware of that? Two, I want to direct these questions to the PS, the PS higher education. On the advisory were given in April by the Attorney General, and you decided not to follow that particular advisory, leading us into all this mayhem we have now. Yet the Attorney General is the advisor of government. Why did you decide not to follow the directions of the government legal advisor? And already the courts had made a ruling. Now that we are in a circus of strikes and counter strikes, offers and counter offers. Those are my two questions. Yes, let's start. You can start from Honorable Member for Luanda, and then we come like that. Let's be very brief.
Thank you, Chair. I will be very brief as you've directed. The first question will be to the CS Education. But as CS, the union seems to be angered and they're not happy with you. Why? Because the Court of Appeal made a decision, the AG advised, and you did not follow the advice. Two, the SG has indicated that they did write 3 letters back then, which you never responded to date. So they are not happy. Three, when the matter came at first, they came up with the correct figure of 7.9. You people insisted it was 623 until you finally agreed as to the figure of 7.9. One thing I wish to ask, because when you come into a negotiation, you come with clean hands. And it seems that we are where we are because somebody somewhere did not maybe take care of the other person's interests. The question is, why this long? Why this long? To the SG, you had a very good write-up, and I want to refer you to item 27 and item 28 of your write-up. And in your write-up, you say, the union pleads with this honorable committee to ensure that IPC works with SRC, MOE, and National Treasury to present a reasonable offer. A reasonable offer. But on 28, on item number 28, you go opposite and you say that you want this 7.9 million paid at once. Is that the reasonable offer that you talked about in 27? Because I see the CS Treasury has actually offered a reasonable offer. In the sense that the write-up, there was an indication of 3 installments. He's now talking of 2 installments. One in this supplementary and the other one in July, if I got it right. So how reasonable is the offer you're talking about? Thank you.
Yeah, I want us to be brief like that, Honorable Member for again, but not.
Chair, we have 3 glaring phenomena. One, we have the 7.9 billion, the amount the unions are demanding. We have the 2025-2029 CBA. 3, we have the students out of their learning institutions. Now, on the case of 7.9 billion, we have heard about counter offers and this, what the unions demand and what the ministry is saying it is able to pay. Now, my question is, if that amount is paid, as the ministry is trying to imply, what is the position of the union on 2025-2029 CBA? Are these things, are these 2 issues intertwined, or we are handling them separately?
This to ASU. However, you need to note, members, the petition was on two main issues: CBA 2017-2021, and the need to negotiate CBA 2025-2029. So those are the issues they placed before us. And I wanted to say that somehow the CS, in its global approach, had indicated the far they have gone. And in the IPCCUF, they went on to give a narration of the various meetings and the offers they have done, which to me, it is something that is on the process. And I think the unions, what is very, very key for the unions is the implementation of 2017-2021. And now they move on to negotiate and wind up the 25-29. Is it? So I think you'll answer that. Let's move on. Member for Siaya.
Thank you, Chair.
We'll come to you. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. The CS education, in your presentation, I touched some statement that you never factored this CBA agreement in the budget. And I really found that very unfortunate. Why didn't you do that? Because it is a responsibility. We wouldn't have reached here and talk about this if you had factored that in the budget so that you cleared the backlog. Why didn't you put this in the budget according to what you've just said?
Yes, Member for Nyamira.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, according to the presentation, it has just come out very clearly that the CPA, which has delayed for 6 years, has come out as a result of SRC. And SRC had given information, maybe they did it intentionally, or they might have done it without knowing. As a ministry, when you listen to how the public is talking, all the blames are on you. What is your take to SRC? Chair, when we look at the 2025-2029 CPA bargain, they have only started by giving only %. And when you look at departments, others have been offered as much as 29%. Why is that big disparity? Given that the universities have been crying and still they have started at very low percentages. Maybe we may want to understand. And that one should be given from SRC. If you are there, or SRC, give us the answer.
And I want to guide members because the issue of CBA 2025-2029 is yet to be adequately discussed and arrived at. The issues are proposals and counter proposals. Let's try not to engage into it because it is not part of our discussion, is it? So that we'll allow the parties that are concerned to weigh in into the issues and then they will discuss it. If there is a dispute, then we can come in, is it? So I want us to really try to constrain on it. What we'll do as an advice is fast track it, talk on it, and make sure so that it doesn't become an issue of dispute. Is that okay? That's it. Let's proceed. Oh, a member for Baringo North, yes?
Thank you, Chairman, for that last clarification. I think that is what is required so that we fix the animal in the room. Chair, since you, the Minister for Education has already said they are with SRC when making a presentation. If SRC was here, I would have asked them, how did you arrive at 624? Because, Chair, the person that has confused everybody up to where we are today is an animal called SRC, and they are actually being a cause of confusion for many years. I can see the unions, the Minister for National Treasury and Education. The truth has been laid bare, and all of them agreed with this truth. It's only one thing, that if God in heaven could allow these people to enter into a room and come out to say hallelujah, that this trial will end today.
What is your question?
Chairman, I'm saying because I am a parent, I have children at home.
And
So
then it is not about
I'm saying
God.
I'm praying.
Yes, you are praying.
God in heaven, that these people can enter a room and come up with hallelujah. Chairman, how was there legal fees or litigation fees are growing from all these scenarios that at the end of the day, government will again ask National Treasury to pay for litigation measures, because you can see from the word of the Attorney General is to avoid further litigation. Please implement. Are there litigation fees accruing from all these costs of SRC?
Yes,
Chair, thank you very much. I think there's a big lesson that we can learn from this whole process at the end of the day. And Chair, let me say this meeting is a very healthy meeting from the word go, where both parties, all the parties that are here before us, have put forward their, and I can see a lot of convergence in what they have presented. The only parting point is where perhaps how do we go forward with the remaining balance. Chair, I'm a pastoralist, and in my society we say 2 moons can't appear on the same night, but 2 truths can appear at the same time. So I'm looking at 2 truths which have appeared at the same time here. And what I'm suggesting, Chair, is that if you look at the whole scenario,
I actually dissuaded you from giving your opinions now.
I'm not giving opinion, Chair.
Yes.
I'm just.
I want you to ask the question. If you don't have, we move the next one.
Chair, I have the question,
Yes.
and I will ask it. We have students who are languishing out, they're really suffering. We have parents who are agonizing. We have the staff of the university who have also suffered. My suggestion is, we in a process like this, we need to have a give and take situation. The unions have said they want their amounts to be paid in one go, and the government has proposed a phased, initially 3 phases, now two phases. And because of that spirit of give and take, despite the sufferings that has happened, we just need to be guarantees that the remaining balances will be paid according to the agreements that have been done. But I support the offer that has been given by the government. Only that I will suggest, given that this has caused a lot of acrimony, instead of 50-50, the first phase should be 60% and the second phase should be 40%.
Honorable Haro is a peacemaker, and he's a guy who wants to promote. In his earlier life, he participated a lot. You don't know about seconding. It's not about seconding. He used to promote togetherness among pastoralists and people living in those arid and semi-arid areas. So we're constantly in dispute over scarce resources, water, and the rest. So we've had you, but the offer has been offered. Yes. And I want to ask members, Honorable Haro didn't ask the question. He went on to give an opinion. If you are going to give an opinion, we are not going to allow you to make a presentation. I want straight to the question. Professor, proceed.
Thank you, Chair. It is unfortunate that we are discussing about a formula of disbursement by institutions of higher status. It's very embarrassing. My question is, why does the ministry always rush to court whenever there is a dispute, especially when going to court is a constitutional right, but when one court has made a decision, why rush to go and appeal the same decision when it is very clear that there is a problem? In that case, you are destroying the spirit of goodwill, because like now, how will the unions trust the ministry on the 2025-29 CBA? Because it will also be another situation.
Members, let me guide. I want to again guide you, members. I want you to ask the question. And then 2, because the CBA of 2025-2029 has not been discussed, I will request that let it be in abeyance.
Chair, my question was, why did the ministry...
Order, honorable member. 2, the issue of appealing and going to court is a right of every citizen and institution in this country. And if you are not satisfied, you have a right to appeal, or you have a right to go up to the Supreme Court. So it is not an issue of dispute. What I want to ask is, you go straight away and ask the three people who made the presentation, the unions, the ministry, and the IPCC, any question that you have.
Chair, I qualified the statement at the beginning and I said, why is it that they run to the, I said it's a constitutional right. But even in situations where you can sit and agree, why rush to the court? Because that way it will lose trust. I mean, people will start losing trust and it becomes problematic. My question is, all said and done, what happens to the students who are admitted in September? They have been in campus all this time. They have paid rent. Parents have paid school fees. What will happen after if we in the end we come up with a solution? What happens to the students in our universities?
That is a question to IPCCUF. You are the people in charge of students, is it? So make sure you tell us, how are you going to cover the lost time? And how will you make sure that the parents and everybody else are going to make up? There's a member for Honorable Xairo.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, my first issue goes to IPUCCF. In their closing remarks, they asked that this committee asks UASU to respect the court order. I would like to ask, how come they will want UASU to respect a court order, yet themselves and the ministry seems to disregard and to disrespect the court orders? Closest in example is the ruling on 10th of April. AG wrote to the ministry asking that you order whatever has been settled by the courts and which was rightfully the dues of the lecturers. Why would you want others to respect what you don't respect? Secondly, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chair, while UASU may have asked for a reasonable settlement, Honorable Chair, sorry, what we are dealing with here is more of a debt. This is a debt. And if it is a debt,
It's a pending bill, yes.
it's a pending bill, it's a debt, whichever name you want to give it. If we look at the PFM Act and the Constitution, a debt should therefore take precedence in all our planning. Why do we want to move into installments, yet this is a debt? This is not money the dons are going to work for and the staff. This is money they already work for. So when they're asking for a reasonable, I find 50-50 to be totally unreasonable because it is a debt. Why can't the CS Treasury just treat this as a debt? We be done with for once and for all. What is the challenge? And if it is to be reasonable and saying you are ceding ground, honestly, a 50-50 is not it. Can't you do an 80-20?
Yes, that's the National Treasury, and he had given his input. Now we'll start with WASU. No, we'll start with the CS Education. He has made CS Education and then CS National Treasury. And then they have a meeting at 1:30 for the World Bank. I don't know, because you are the key people. I don't want you actually to leave here. I want you to finish it very fast. We still have 10 minutes. I start with the CS Education, and then we come Treasury. Treasury, you can start with Treasury, and then we go to Education, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Actually, this is from the CS National Treasury, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Chair, since I don't think I have much to address, I should start first and then follow off. My colleague here will represent the government. First, the question on how would the union trust the government. I want to affirm again that we have demonstrated based on our agreement last year that we can be trusted. And I want to commit here that what we have offered, we will respect, however difficult it is. We are operating in a difficult environment, but we will make sure that we try to rearrange the budget and get some money to make
But
payment.
because we are on record, and I want to thank you because you are once a ranking member in this house. If you say 50-50, how much? You pronounce yourself, the figure.
It's the total, the figure is half of 7.76 billion, which is 3.85, I guess, billion. So we had offered to pay 2.16. Now the balance we have already committed that we will add to the 2.16 to make it 50% of the outstanding amount. Yes.
This
financial year.
This
And again,
financial year.
the next financial year, we will factor in the remaining amount. As to whether it's pending bills, it's well debatable. Pending bills, and you need to know to what point bill becomes a pending bill. If you use accrual accounting or cash basis, if it is cash basis, it falls now. So we start treating it as a bill as at now when we agree. So if you use accrual accounting, then it is when it was incurred. But again, it is all about the ability to pay. I want to be very clear. If we didn't have the fiscal challenges, there was no reason why we would have a dispute on how to pay amounts that we have already acknowledged as a government. I think that would be dishonest on the part of the government. The government has now acknowledged that we owe 7.76 billion to our university staff, and that we must pay. We are just pleading with the unions to understand that our fiscal space is limited, and we are facing serious challenges. Yeah, we don't just have time. If I could go into the details, you'd see the position. Finally, I think a comment was made about whether we are fairly treating university staff compared to others, whether there is equity, that we have offered about 29% to some category of public servants. I don't think that is accurate. Actually, from the information I have on the agreement with teachers, it was 12% on average for a period of 4 years. So I want to just be clear that we treat all our public servants the same, and we cannot underrate the contribution that higher education or higher learning plays. And Chairman, it may interest you to note that my first employer was actually university. I would today probably be sitting either here representing the university staff or somewhere watching the outcome of these deliberations with bated breath that the government honors and pays in full the amount outstanding, which is 7.76. And therefore, I can note for even a minute. In fact, one of my longest employers was a university, 8 years, only second to the National Assembly. So I respect the university staff and the contribution they're making to our economy, but I want to plead with them. And many of them are my friends. In fact, Professor here knows what we went through last year to agree on what to do with the CBA that we agreed on last year. And I think I played a good boy to date. I don't think you have any concern. Mr. Mukwaya here, we have been with him in many places. We have reformed many things with him, and is continuing to reform the country. So I wouldn't really have any issue. I'm just pleading that our fiscal space and fiscal framework is really, really limited at the moment. Thank you, Chair. And I submit again, 50-50 is agreeable to the National Treasury.
Chair,
other members. I'll want you to interject once and then you leave.
Start with him.
Let's start with him first.
Chairman, I want to find out from the CS National Treasury, if you split that money in terms of that which belongs to pension and that which belongs to salaries and so on? What is the difference? How much is the one going to salaries and what was going to pension? It provides guidance on this.
On the 3.85, that's okay. Yes, yes. We'll allow that interjection before he leaves. Yes.
Yeah, I would like to ask the CS. You know, if you promise me a salary increment in a CBA, we know how we all operate. Some go for loans based on that. Chair, this is money already owed. And to be fair, there is no interest charged. We're just asking the CS. You can squeeze somewhere. This is a mess in State Department of Higher Education. You've never had us call you here for basic. Can you just squeeze and give them more? It's a debt. Let it not be 50-50. It's very unfair. It's inhumane. We understand the physical space is constrained.
Chair.
But we need to be considerate that people took loans and people are being auctioned just because of this.
Yes, members, I want you to know, and I think this is out of experience, you don't take a loan out of CBA. Yeah. You take a loan on the actuals, what you have gotten. So on this particular case, yes, the case is very important. It is very true. But the issue the CS has put it across to us is subject to our discussion. Maybe now the CS National Treasury and CS Education. What the members are just saying is actually a plea on a higher, you give a higher payment, maybe 60-40 or 80, something like that. That one is something that we are putting to your desk. But what they have done, if they have actually it was three installment. Now they have come to 2. They have made a movement. We'll hear from Wazo and to listen from them if that is satisfactory. They are not even part of their bargain.
Chair.
Do I release the CS because he's being waited?
No, let the union speak.
I want him to respond to it, and then we release him.
No, let the union say something.
Order, members. You are not. It is the chair who is giving direction. CS respond to it, and then we.
Chair, I want to just respond that about 20% of this amount outstanding was pension. As at now, this remaining 7.7 billion, we have about 1.55 billion, which should constitute pension. The rest is salary. And yeah, I think that is the first question that you asked. I want to, my friend Gisario, I just wanted to also mention, remember, and I'm Chair, I know I'm probably violating standing orders, but just allow me to mention that if there will be agreement on 2025-29,
no, you can't. We will not allow you to work against
CBA.
orders.
CBA. I'm not really going against.
Yes.
I'm just indicating that
you don't anticipate debate.
Some intervention from the National Treasury, and so we must balance off this against the money that we have. By the way, sometimes it is easier. Imagine that there's some money somewhere at the Treasury that can easily be pulled. It's not there. In fact, Mheshimiwa, you were talking about interest. There was no money that we put somewhere to give us interest. We are just collecting money and paying. If they charged us interest, that would have been even more disaster for us. I'm actually pleading that that thought is not passed to them. They don't consider that at all. Thank you, Chairman. And if you allow me.
Yes, I'll release you, CS. And I want to release you because we are constrained on an appointment. But I want to thank you because in the last CBA, you honored it fully. I hope you will be able, CS, you will be able to honor what you have told us. Thank you so much.
Oh, also say something.
Thank you. We now want to give also the ministry to respond. Then we come. Or you want to respond to the issues raised? Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We are aware of the offer by the government of 50-50. When this offer was made to us, I convened organs of the union, that is NEC and NDC, and they objected to this offer by voting overwhelmingly for no, because of the following reasons. One, There are members who have retired since 2017, 2021. They are at home. They need their pension. Two, if we push this 50% to 2026, 2027 financial year, already there are commitments, and the Ministry of Education is going to be constrained. We have 2.37 billion for 2021, 2025. That is supposed to mature on 1st July. 2.73 billion.
2.73 billion to mature in 2025,
2026, 2027 financial year.
2026, 2027 financial year. Yes. That's
The next, there are commitments we made with the IPCCF that mortgage, car loan and mortgage was supposed to be factored in the sector budget for 2026, 2027 financial year. The next, we have not arrived. It can even be 10 billion because it is car loan and mortgage for all university staff. So it is not possible that you move 2017.
Order SG. This is not about talking things which are not. It's a house of records.
We agree.
We agree. You agreed
that we are going to sit down and agree on the budget for car loan and mortgage, and it's supposed to be factored in 2026, 2027 Ministry of Education sector budget.
So you have not agreed on?
We have not agreed on the figure.
So you should not be part of the agreement of 26, 27?
So that is what we are saying. They made commitments. They also made commitment that in 2026, 2027 financial year, we were going to factor for all university staff. Promotion, we have not agreed on the figure. So what we are saying, with those commitments, we don't want to clog the financial year of 2026, 2027 with promises again. And the next thing, Honorable Member, when I talked about reasonable offer, Honorable Maungu,
yes.
When I talked about reasonable offer, I didn't mean that this 7.9 billion was to be put in phases. What I meant there is the reasonable offer for 2025, 2029, because currently they are giving us 2%. So we said we need a reasonable offer for 2025, 2029 CBA, not that to be split. Organs of the union have rejected the 50-50. And I don't want to promise the Honorable House that they are going to accept. They voted against it.
That is you have answered your questions. And I also want, you know, the reason why I was asking you to give us the figures of the car loan, the promotion money, and the rest is also to allow this house to think through. But now, because you have not offered, we know what is only outstanding in 2026, 2027 is the 2.73 billion. That is the only thing which is outstanding for them. These others are wish lists, is it? Which you are here to discuss. No, I'm just giving, that's a direction, because if you have committed, it should actually be factual. And then we should have a figure. Yes, let's have the ministry and then the universities to answer. I think you are one. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Maungu's question on the 624 million vis-a-vis the other amounts. SRC is mandated to give advice to government constitutionally on issues relating to salaries, etc. The figure of 624 million was given by them on the basis that out of the 7.9 billion which the unions were demanding, an amount of 7.2 billion had been paid between 2017 and 2021 during the normal annual increment by each university to their members. So it became difficult for the ministry, for example, to go to Treasury and ask for 624 or 7.9 for it was agreed. Because if for example, the ministry had committed to pay 7.9 billion when there is a letter by SRC saying the outstanding amount is 624, it is an automatic query, audit query. So we needed to work towards agreeing that the figure outstanding is X. And that's why the verification teams, together with SRC, had to meet until SRC in October then confirmed that now the outstanding amount is 7.9. That's when our hands were unlocked for us now to move to the next stage of how much do we need to pay. Tying that to the ages, sorry.
Well, Chair,
issue?
I want to believe that the CS is taking us for a ride. Because
You are out of order, Honorable Taitumu.
Not out of order.
You're out of order
Chair.
completely. We operate on standing orders. When you raise on a point of order, give us the specific issues you want.
The specific
but you are
issue
not.
is he is talking about the advisory. And here, according to what was presented, there was the mathematics, there were formulas that were being followed to arrive to that figure.
So what
it was not at the discretion of the SRC to dictate what they should take without a formula.
And I think you're talking the same. The question here, members, and I want us to agree, what the CS is saying on what you are saying is true. It is SRC who has faulted everybody here. And that's why we shall have a date with them. It is not even the CS. If SRC gave us a figure of 624, and then they went through verification, they gave us a figure of 7.9. Which SRC gave 624, which SRC is giving 7.9. Those are the people we want to bring them before this committee and ask them, why did you waste government resources, taxpayers' resources, on very wrong advice? That is it. It is not even on the CS himself. It is on SRC. And that's why somebody raised a preliminary issue when you were starting, that they should be here. CS, I think that one we have made a case for ourselves. We shall invite SRC here. Yes, proceed.
Thank you, Chair. So once we arrived at the agreed figure, now we came to how do we pay it? So we made a proposal of paying it in 3 installments for this reason. This figure has been accepted after the financial year 2025-2026 budget. So it was not in the budget of 2025-2026 because it was not agreed during the budget making process. And members, you are aware, the budget making process for 2025-2026 concludes, I think, on February or something like that. So as at the time we are getting this information, the budget is already concluded. So the only fault that we can be given is that we have not factored it in the financial year 2026-2027, because now we have it as a payment that we have to do. And that's why we are saying, let's pay this in 2 installments, one of 3.85 during the supplementary budget, because this is an amount that will be sort of reallocated from our own budget for 2025-2026, which has already been programmed for other programs. So that if we are forced to pay 7 billion, other programs that were budgeted for 2025-2026 will fail. The balance of 3.85 will be factored into the budget of 2026-2027, together with the 2.73, which has already been factored in, and that math has been done, and we are comfortable that we'll be able to meet the 3.85 and the 2.73 in the financial year 2026-2027.
Let me pause there.
Yes.
The SG sympathized with you.
Yes.
And said 2026-2027 will be overcrowded. Is it true? Are you able to handle it comfortably?
Yes, the 50%, yes, we've already, in fact, we had a meeting this morning and we've done the math.
Thank
so
you.
If that's accepted, it will be able to be handled.
So SG, he's not overcrowded. You want to ask something?
Something. Yes. Let the overcrowding not make us give us unreasonable offer for 2025, 2029.
Thank you. And I think he has made a commitment, yes. I think you are very good on that, yes. CS, proceed.
I think I've answered the question of the member from CIA. That is the reason why we are not factored it into the financial year 25-26 is because it wasn't ready. Once we now have it, that's why we are saying accept 50% now. The other 50% will factor it into the financial year 2026, 2027. Oh, the question by Honorable Gisairo on the court order. Once we received the directive from the AG, it's not like we disobeyed it. We wanted to find out what is the actual amount payable, because now the case had come to a conclusion. And that is what this period within which we were trying to find out what is the actual figure so that we can pay that figure. Similarly, when the strike notice was issued and the employment court interdicted the strike, the unions were under an obligation to obey those court orders. So we can't choose court orders that we obey and others we do not obey on both sides. On both sides. So we are trying to obey that court order of paying 7.9 and giving a proposal on how that payment is being done. So we are not disobeying it at all. As to whether it's a pending bill, and I think my colleague touched on it, this is a historical date of 2017, 2021. In fact, there's another question that we need to address our minds to. Can the unions declare a dispute on a pending bill when we are current in our current CBA? Is this not an amount that is supposed to be executed for? So we have issues here that all of us have to be alive to the situation and say, how do we resolve this problem comfortably and amicably? And we've demonstrated when we came in the 2021, 2025 CBA had issues, and we met with these teams and we got a solution for it. We are up to date currently. That shows that this particular administration has no interest in kicking down hand. We want to solve this problem, and we're giving proposals that we know that we will deliver. Thank you.
Thank you, CS. I think you, since you took up the helm of the education, you actually have shown commitment. Last CBA, you have honored. Now, we want to see how you'll honor it. There was an issue of disrespect to the advisory. Have you answered that?
I said we did not disrespect it. Yes. What? See, if somebody tells you you owe me 20,000 shillings, then I tell you, but out of the 20,000 shillings, I have paid you 18 shillings. I owe you 2 shillings. So we needed to confirm that. That is what caused the delay. We did not say we are not paying. We said the AG has said we pay 7.9. Then SRC says out of the 7.9, you've already paid 7.2. You understand where we got the challenge? And that really tied our hands because they are the constitutionally mandated to guide us with the formulas. So, but once we had the verification exercise together, and they came and confirmed now we made an error, the amount due is this, we said that as a ministry, how do we pay it? And we acted immediately. And the unions can confirm that we've not sat, we've not waited, we have not delayed. We have worked together overnight to ensure that this matter is resolved. We can't be faulted for delay, because when you rely on constitutional officers that are mandated to give you advice, you have to refer to them. It's just like if I said I'm going to pay 7.9 billion before I talk to Treasury. You understand? It's not possible. I have to refer the matter to Treasury for them to see from the parameters can we pay. And once we are agreed and we are consulting, then we say this we can do.
Thank you. You've handled it well. However, we'll discuss other matters. I want the Honorable Kororia to introduce himself. And then we go to the universities. There was something pending on how will you cover up the time if the unions are going to. Let's introduce yourself.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Elijah Njoroge Kororia, MP for Ogatono North Constituency, member of this committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Questions to the universities?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and Honorable members. The greatest interest and stakeholders in all the proceedings we are having are our university students. Honorable Chair, they have, as at today, missed 7 weeks of lectures not being taught because of this strike. What are we going to do with the students once agreed? That is why, Honorable Chair, we made a prayer to this Honorable Committee. And one Honorable Member prayed that we come out with a solution. And as we leave this chamber, the students can be sure that tomorrow they will be receiving lectures. What happens once the parties have agreed and our partners, the unions, have called off the strike? Then university senates will meet. Every university has a university senate, and each university will look at how much has been lost and come up with a formula on how to address the lost time. This formula may include stretching the semester to go longer than when they were to complete the semester in December. They may have to extend the semester by the week lost. They may be, in some cases, be able to do a makeup, but now 7 weeks is a big challenge on how you can make up 50% of the semester. But the individual university senates, once we agree and the strike is called off, they have always worked, met, and each one of them, together with the student leaders, come up with a proper formula on how to mitigate the lost time. Thank you, Chair. So it's not something we can say this is what will be done now, but we can assure this Honorable House that the university senates will be able to meet with all leaders and student leaders and come up with an amicable solution on how to make up for the lost time. And that's the more that if we agree now, we shall be having a lesser problem. But if they keep outside, it can then even lead to losing now the entire semester.
But you need to note that it will not be at any cost of the parent or the student. It will be at the same cost. Is it? Is that okay?
Honorable Chair, we never get the students to pay more fees or anything. It's only to adjust the time on what they are supposed to do. But we never demand for any extra payment in terms of fees or anything. But of course, there are other expenditures, like if they are staying in private accommodation, they are paying house rent. But those staying within university hostels, we never charge them anything, even when the semester is extended. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, we need to come back. And I think in our preliminaries, Honorable McClellan talked of prayers and going into a room. This is a room where we are in Honorable SG and the unions. This meeting is actually going to be a meeting where parents, students, and the Kenyans are watching us. The issue of contention is 7.9. We have agreed. Government is saying you are paying 7.9. The unions know that 7.9 will be paid. The issue is on how. The government has given in on the 3-phase to 2-phase. The issue raised by the SG on behalf of the other unions was, if it is pushed to 2026, it will be overcrowded. It will actually put pressure on government not to honor the other promises. The CS National Treasury and the CS Basic Education has agreed that they are not under any pressure. They will meet all the obligations of 2.76. Even other commitments will come by. They'll be able to honor them. So if that is the case, if that was the fears of the union, don't you think, therefore, if they have given you 3.85 billion, and they're agreeing to finish it in the next phase, and they are not under any pressure, and for the sake of our children, the country, and all of us, that we actually come to an amicable solution, and you go now to write a return to work formula because you cannot write here. Yes.
I think just before you conclude,
yes,
if that proposal was to be accepted, the difference between the first payment and the second payment is slightly over 6 months. Because once we agree, we pay probably at the end of this month or in December, then the next payment is the financial year 26-27. That difference is not very many days. Bearing in mind that this is something that has been outstanding, between 2017, 2021, when none of us who are paying part and parcel of that problem. So these are things I think we need to look at.
Yes, I want you to know that the government is in perpetuity. So you are there.
But
The
what
office holder
about
was there.
what about the students?
No,
The
not
students that we have who are suffering right now were not there in 2021, 2025. So this is something that should be used to mitigate this fact. As we have said, we will resolve these issues. And I agree with the SG that once we resolve this matter, we do not want to go for another strike until 2030 plus. Because we want to resolve all these issues once and for all, put them down, and we deal with them, not trying to push them under the carpet. So we are determined. And that's why we are saying the best solution is accept 50% now, go back to class, the students continue, as we resolve any other, the 2025, 2029, once we agreed, we factor it in, we move on like that. This is our plea. This is our plea. And Chair, it's not all the universities that are on strike. We have 12 universities that are on strike. The others are in class. Now we're going to have a discrepancy where some students will complete when they entered at the same time, and others will not, despite the definition of the difference of these universities
yes, I don't want you to squander the goodwill. I want you not to squander the goodwill of which one is on strike. The owner of the strikers are here.
Chair.
He will tell you everybody's on strike.
Chair.
But members, I want us to move on closing ranks.
Yes, Chair.
Let's close ranks, and I will actually not want us to divide ourselves.
Yes, Chair.
We start with Honorable Haro, and then Honorable Sairo, Maklap, and then
Thank you, Chair.
the rest.
Thank you, Chair. I'll join you for sending a plea to the union now that the government has offered and I can see the worry the Secretary General has is that his organs have sat and they have voted a no. But that one is not cast on stone. They can still reconvene the structure given the new realities we have, because now even Parliament is involved and we are sending this plea to the union for the sake of our parents, for the sake of our children, for the sake of the country. Let us be reasonable and accept the offers. SG, you have done your best. You have fought for your union. You've got what you want. Let us just tie the bits now towards the finish line. Thank you.
I think you have achieved the most. You have tried a lot. For the 3 years we've been here in this parliament, the SG has achieved tremendously for his members. He's one of the...
Chair.
Yes.
Mine will go to the CS and IPUCCF. Chair, this is the second time as a committee we are sitting here trying to arbitrate the warring groups, and all because of the same reason, that they took so long to agree on what the amount was. And in all these cases, the unions had the correct figure. Are we saying that the ministry and IPUCCF has people heading those sectors that are supposed to advise the CS being incompetent, and therefore the CS should crack the whip? Because it is embarrassing that every time we sit here, the minister is wrong and the unions are right. This won't stop us sitting here again to arbitrate the 2025, 2020, is it 2030? 2029, because the same staffers are going to mislead the CS. So CS, the next strike will not be in 2030. It will be before that, as long as you maintain those people.
Honorable Gisairo, I hope you are not a member of any union. But I don't want you also to be a pessimist. Honorable CS has actually been at the helm of the ministry about 2 years, but he has done exemplary well. He sat before us here. We closed ranks with the universities about a year ago on 4 points, around the same amount of money. We are doing it now, and the good part of this particular meeting is both groups, the protagonists are coming here, and they have agreed already. So I think to some extent, he has a very good credit of running the sector. Let me,
And then
Then we come to. I think
Okay,
it was on
Chair.
our club before.
Let me finish.
You didn't put up your hand.
Let me
Yes.
finish.
Let me allow you.
Chair, I think after listening to the two parties, I would want to make a plea. I think we have come a long way. So much water has gone under the bridge. We have a new sheriff in the ministry, in treasury. Let us just allow ourselves to go back to work for the sake of the students. I have 3 students in my house. They wake up in the morning, they see me drive off. I find them in the evening. And for me, at least I'm thinking about a child in the rural of Moiben constituency who depends on the and doesn't have any other source of income. I would request that let us take up the 50 and 2020. The next offer is not very far, it's next year. It is just like 7 months from now, 6 months from now. And we've been out from, I was, that offer, that CBA was negotiated when I was the Dean of Faculty of Arts in Egerton University. That is way long.
And you'll be a beneficiary.
No, I'm not talking about I'm not conflicted. I'm just thinking about, I'm just speaking as a parent and thinking about the students. And it's not, and the future, our future is education. Let us just agree of push and pull. So to the unions, have our children at heart.
Thank you. It's a plea to SG.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman.
You want to see me?
Thank you, Chairman. I want to state from the onset, from the time we received this petition, it was brought by Wasonga and his team. Chair, today, Wasonga, Badi, and Wasiri, Minister for Education, are OD. We represent the people of Kenya. Wasonga and his team has a job. He represents a cadre, and he must ensure that his job is secure, of ensuring that he defends the lecturers. As we do this, I have also watched and listened to C.S. Okamba. This is a truthful man. This is a man that he lives with his word, and he does not. And the first win is that the fact that the minister has accepted SRC at some point misled them, and the consequence of actually following them would have resulted into an audit query. And both parties have all agreed 7.9. That is a win. Tell your lecturers that is a win, number one. That 7.9 is agreed. Question of how do we pay it? Let's look at the reality, Wasonga, my brother, and your team. I've also served in union. And I know when your members behind you are saying no, the consequence of going opposite, they will sack you. And the fear of you and your team being sacked by your members is to at least have a win, at least an upper win against the government. And on this matter, I plead to you, my brother, we represent the people of Kenya, and we have children, and these children are at home. Imagine children from as far as Baringo, where sometimes they are faced with banditry, and they are in universities. Some of them do not know even their first years. They are not acquainted in those environments. And many people would take advantage of them now that they are not in class. Please, my brother, and Minister of Education and the CS for National represented by Mwendwa, please up the game a little bit. That's why I was looking for the money for pension and the money for the salaries so that we see what can be done in between the chair and all of us and Kenyans. And I want to tell you, I also sit in public debt. I was just coming from a meeting of public debt. This country is has not stabilized in terms of debt. Please accept that we can do better than the 50% for humanity, and face your people and tell this is our country. These children are ours. These are our parents. Please up the game of 5 billion. Let about 2 point something billion remain, And actually we can be able to accommodate that in our appropriation. Chairman, you are also a very tough chairman who have been a teacher, and you know how these people face. We can go further and close ourselves into a room and agree on at least a higher figure suggested by them, and then we call off the strike and our children go to school and we have peace in our country.
You have made your point. Members, it is now 2. I'll want us to adjourn by 2:10. So I want the remaining members to use at least two minutes each. Then I give the SG and we conclude, kindly. So I'll be very strict on that.
Thank you, Chair.
Maungu, if you can use 1 minute, the better.
It will be unfair to use 1 minute when McLap has used 5 minutes. So,
saying 1 minute
in the law of equity,
yes.
Okay, that was beside the point. Chair, allow me first of all mention that I look at last year when Waziri Migos entered into his ministry. I think the first challenge he faced was the strike that was then, and I think wanasema mgara muwe lakini haki mpe, sio? I think that was good. And here comes a case now. You have another challenge, Waziri. Chair, it'd be good to note that it is a duty of this committee to appropriate funds. And therefore, as Waziri talks about what he talks about, it is this committee that will finally appropriate funds. And that's why I think the SG and his team found it fit to find their way into this committee. I'm aware that we are soon going to have a supplementary budget, which I think will be coming in a few weeks or in a few days to come, Chair. What I wish to request my good friend, Dr. Wesonga, is that I'm looking at the offer and the county offers because you came before this committee with good intent to ensure that our kids are back to school. Would it be too much to ask if we were to say that this committee commits to appropriate the figures mentioned, and by February, I think when they are doing the BPS, which I think will be coming before us in February, we have that deficit actually factored in the BPS, so that come June, when we are reading the budget, we actually able to appropriate. Because even if Mbadi were to say that is give the money, if this committee does not appropriate that money, it won't be there. So, Chair, it will be upon you as the chair of this committee to even confirm to these unions that in our appropriations to do in a few weeks' time, we shall factor this amount of money. And in February, when the BPS is coming before us, we shall factor the remaining to close this matter once and for all. And maybe, Waziri, going forward, it wouldn't really be fine that we have another cycle of our learners actually going back home because lecturers on strike. So probably it would be good to be magnanimous enough in your planning so that we ensure that the CBA of 25-29 is well crafted, well secured to ensure that industrial actions do not recur. Thank you.
That's very good, Honorable Taitumu. Let's go back to member for CI first, and then
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Mine was simply to appreciate what the SG University Union was presented. It was so clear, so well done, to the extent that I felt it because I was also a lecturer at the university, and I saw that as a very honest presentation.
But way back in 2012.
Yeah, but I don't benefit because I left university 2013 when I first came. The second thing is that this is a big lesson that in future, let's try not to have these strikes because universities tend to go on strike every year over salary increment and nobody's implementing and blaming each other. Year in, year out, university lecturers go on strike. And we learn from this particular lesson that in future, all the CBAs will be implemented on time and that there will be no strikes anymore and that our students will not suffer together with the lecturers. We cannot afford to have the double tragedy of lecturers going on strike and students not being taught and now trying to catch up. Teach them on time becomes a challenge. To me, that is what I want to say.
Well, that's a good advice for us going into the future. Honorable Taitumu.
Chair, the major problems of the strikes that this country is witnessing are born by an institution called SRC. Due to poor advisory services now at the end, I want to implore to you, Chair, call that institution so that it can give us the reasons as to why they are giving poor advisory services to the government that are costing the taxpayers of this country. Chair, I want also to implore to the unions. I know I have been a teacher. You know, I've been a member of the National Executive Council, Kenya National Union of Teachers, and I know there are two things that conflict when you go to the strike. One, you must know about the entry behavior, how you get into the strike, and the exit strategy. So the problem is the exit strategy that they are they are finding themselves in. But I want to tell you, the leader, don't be bothered. Kindly craft away. We have been there. The ministry have been there. Let the members see that you have fought a worthy battle. And I believe you will continue to. You have been there for long, together with Wesonga and the rest. And you have really fought. And you are a fighter. So for the sake of the children, for the sake of the Kenyans, kindly brave this one and the call of the strike. Thank you.
Thank you. As advice from a unionist, Songa, I think I'll give you enough time to respond, and I think that's very good for you. Honorable Kororia.
Thank you, Chair. I also want to join my colleagues to congratulate the CS for the good intervention and also the SG and the other leaders, because we need the students back to class. It is very difficult, Chair, convince students in all levels of education that they are going to get education, get jobs that will give them salaries, if the people who are teaching them are not getting enough salaries and on time. I would ask our chair to incorporate all the government leaders involved, including parliament, to make sure that we do away with anything that is not a priority in this country and get enough money to pay the lecturers once and for all. And if possible, we can even double their salaries so that they are able to do their work accordingly. There are very many issues and very many ministries in the Republic that we can suspend a bit and get the same funds to come and settle the issue on education once and for all. It is becoming difficult to convince students to study hard, become teachers and lecturers, because they are seeing their lecturers at home. And it is difficult also to convince the students that they are going to be employed by the government if their own lecturers are at home. But all in all, we are asking the SG and the team to have mercy on the public university students, because the students in private schools are going on with their studies, and those students are feeling like they are losing. Thank you, Chair.
It's, actually, they are not feeling, but they are losing. They are losing. They are losing. And I think we, as I had given new members and everyone else, that we need to have a point of convergence. And SG, I know you very well that you are a fighter and you've achieved a lot for your members. And on their behalf, Kudeya and Tusu,
Thank
you
you,
being their
Honorable
leader.
Chair.
Yes, I want to give you about 3-4 minutes.
3-4 minutes.
Yes, and then we.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I want to thank this committee for listening to us. For the sake of the children and students of this country, we are going to convene the organs of the union so that we can reconsider. However, the ministry should apologize to us for calling us confused and that we should go back to class. The next thing, IPCCF should reconsider how they manage university staff. A study should be conducted on motivational and job satisfaction needs of public university workers in Kenya. The way IPCCF manages university staff is perfunctory. If you can see the way lecturers came out to strike, those are people who could go up to January. But because of your chairmanship, because of the honorable members that have talked to us, I'm going to plead with our members so that we can reconsider. You don't push us. You don't call us names. The next thing I'm saying, the worst of the worst, Chair, is 80-20. They give us 80% and 20% to remain. 80% will be 5 billion. So that 2 billion is taken to 2026, 2027. My irreducible minimum, for the sake of you and the honorable committee members and the students of this country. Thank you very much.
Other members. You are not the owner of the past. So we are arbitrators. Yes. I want to give the CS, first of all, CS and your team. CS and your team, a motivated worker is a very fruitful and a very efficient worker. IPCCF. Even one time your workers are very dissatisfied. Even if you see them not donning their tools, they will render very poor services. And I think what the SG is saying comes back to your doorstep as managers of universities, the vice chancellors, the senate, the principals, and the rest. You have your job well cut out, as said by the SG. As much as you'll pay this money, you need a well-motivated, a well-appreciated worker, a worker who, when he wakes up, he actually admires his university and he wants to be there the earliest in the morning. But if he's going there just because he knows you might give him a sack or because you might warn him, he will not render any service to you. So maybe you'll tell us what you are doing to improve that, and you must improve it. And this committee will undertake a number of oversight visits to universities on that particular issue only, to see how your staff are, and we'll meet them on issues that we think are very pertinent to you. Some, even if you pay them very little and they are living in a better environment, they'll still work. So that's something to you. Things, yes. I don't know how it's your comment, but one thing which is coming out is all your verbal talk. Maybe that is between you and him. I don't know how you respond to it on the issue of confusion. I know who is confused.
Let me just first say that this has been a very good meeting, and the facts have come out the way it is. And we've come up here with the team from Treasury, and we've put all our facts on the table, where the delays came from. We have stipulated and we've indicated. And let me just say that as a ministry, we are actually going to undertake a review of how this 2017-2021 CBA process has been conducted, but after we've finished, so that we learn from it, so that we do not repeat the same mistakes that perhaps has been made, and we get to understand, interrogate the whole system the way it has been done. On the issue of the amount that is on the table and which has been confirmed by all the parties that they can be able to meet without defaulting is on the 50-50. That's what I would urge the unions, even as they meet their members, to discuss, see that this is accepted, and then we can go back to work as we continue working on the CBA of 2025-2029. On the CBA of 2025-2029, there is already a process of applying for a review of what the SRC indicated. And I think there is a letter that has already been done, and it will be shared with the unions. It's not been shared with them. We just had a meeting this morning. The letter has been done. We've given direction as a ministry to IPUCCF on what needs to be done in that space so that the CBA makes sense. It was out of last year's negotiations that we made a decision that we need to be negotiating our CBAs at the beginning of their cycle so that it is easier to factor them into the budgets going forward, and it becomes easier to deal with. We're in this quagmire because we are dealing with an CBA in arrears, which then becomes very complicated, loads our CBA, and you know the sector is already getting the largest amount of money, the numbers are increasing, the pressure is on across the board. So we're just trying to see what is the best way we need to do these things to avoid a situation where our students, our teachers, our lecturers keep going out of the class or going to the street. So we need your help in looking at the global position not just one side, not just because the next thing then that would happen is, and it's already starting to happen, the universities are going to start closing down. If they start closing down, we are still in the same place or worse off than we were before. So it is in the interest of everybody, the lecturers, the students, and the unions, for us to have an agreement so that this space can be opened up and we can negotiate the rest of the things. And the CBA for 2025, 2029 should be delinked from the CBA of 2017, 2021, so that we negotiate both separately and get a clean solution to it without morphing into something else that have been more complicated. So that my plea is accept the 50-50 and let us move from this mountain. We moved around here for quite some time, and it's unfortunate that it took a bit long for us to agree on the figure. But now that we agreed, it shouldn't be a problem at all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, members and the unions and the CS and everyone else. I think we have made a big leap. The only short problem that we have, if I check in your document, is the implementation aspect of it. The CS National Treasury gave us a macro view of how our economy looks like. The CS knows you are just dealing with one sector. We have other sectors that are actually, we have the foreign debt, we have all these others, the local debt and everything else. I will implore on the unions and the CS that let the implementation not be a big issue, because it is just 6 months away. Immediately you'll be paid 3.85 billion in December. The next payment is in June. So for the sake of our children, for the sake of parents who have paid rent for 2 months and the students are loitering and they are not being taught, let's close the ranks, SG and your unions, just in 6 months, so that it will give you room to just start the 2025-2029 negotiations. And before you start, we shall bring SRC here to carpet them, because they are the ones who are giving us a mess, not only in the universities, even in the Teacher Service Commission and even other unions, which they are supposed to. Because how they calculated and gave you a figure of 624 million, and later on the same SRC gave 7.9, that means there's a problem somewhere. So to me, I'm imploring on the union leadership that it is just 6 months away. And this committee, we are making a commitment that in June, the first money we want to see in this financial year is the payment of the CBA outstanding of 3.85. I'm trying to dissuade you not to go to 80-20, because the owner of the pass, who was here, Mbadi, moved from 2.1, 3.85, which is a big leap of almost double. 2.1 to 3.85 is a double. So I'm asking the unions that agree that, and we are committing as a committee of education, which we have been friends of unions in this country many along, and even friends of the teachers. I'm a teacher myself by training. We shall make sure we factor in first charge 3.85 billion for arrears of CBA 2017, 2021 in the financial year of 26-27. SG, kindly.
I've got you.
Yes.
What I'm asking, you are pushing this thing to December.
No.
I thought my members are going to get money immediately.
Oh, it's immediate.
Immediately.
Huh?
Let us money.
It is immediate. No, that's not
Immediate.
Oh,
not
that's
December.
okay. That's okay. That's
And
okay.
we are not going to write on or before.
Yes, yes.
Immediately.
Chair.
I think
Chair,
it was
Chair, let me just make something clear
yes,
here.
Yes.
Let me just make something clear here.
Yes.
This is a house of record.
Yes.
As we speak, we've not agreed on the
2021 in the financial year of 26-27.
It is supposed to be agreed and put in the supplementary or reallocated. So to say immediate, this is a government. You don't pay immediately. It's on the basis of the supplementary, which is this coming month. And you are here. Everybody knows that this team, the unions and the professors, they want to teach economics and commerce. It's not possible for me to agree here and say immediately I go outside, once they sign, I give them the money. There's that process. So we just need to make our members understand that once we are agreed that now the 50% is agreed, we write to Treasury and the process is done. So really, it's unfair for when it goes out to the public in that sense that it is immediate. Maybe they'll start asking for money next week. It is signed. So this is the difficulty that we get into. We need to, as a country.
Yes, we hear you.
You hear me?
And you see, in government, we know there are procedures, there are processes to be followed. But when we talk about now, we are talking about this, what do you call it? The current supplementary, which is
correct
around the corner.
Correct.
So, and we know very well that you still also has the power of Article 223. If you can go and negotiate with your colleague who was here, you can still do that.
Chair,
ours is to actually give you the nitty-gritties. We don't want to run your ministry.
Chair, one of the things that I am not prepared to is lie or give promises I can't keep. Article 223, as a country.
Yes, we hear you.
You hear me?
And you see, in government, we know there are procedures, there are processes to be followed. But when we talk about now, we are talking about this, what do you call it? The current supplementary, which is
correct
around the corner.
Correct.
So, and we know very well that you still also has the power of Article 223. If you can go and negotiate with your colleague who was here, you can still do that.
Chair,
ours is to actually give you the nitty-gritties. We don't want to run your ministry.
Chair, one of the things that I am not prepared to is lie or give promises I can't keep. Article 223, as a country.
Yes, we hear you.
You hear me?
And you see, in government, we know there are procedures, there are processes to be followed. But when we talk about now, we are talking about this, what do you call it? The current supplementary, which is
correct
around the corner.
Correct.
So, and we know very well that you still also has the power of Article 223. If you can go and negotiate with your colleague who was here, you can still do that.
Chair,
ours is to actually give you the nitty-gritties. We don't want to run your ministry.
Chair, one of the things that I am not prepared to is lie or give promises I can't keep. Article 223, as a country.
Yes, we hear you.
You hear me?
And you see, in government, we know there are procedures, there are processes.
We humbly request the CS. Kindly.
Yes. Let's hear from National
Let our members not go with us.
Let's hear from National Treasury.
Chair.
How the processes. We are in agreement, but the process. Yes,
Chair, and riding on what the CS already communicated, I think he's committed to paying the 3.85. But however, and Chair, you are aware that there is a way payments are ordered. For example, if you have debt payments, even if you wanted to honor the 3.85, there is an order of prioritizing. But as the CS is saying, it is not right to meet here to say that Article 223 can be invoked because it requires cash. But a commitment is you look at the cash flow, and at that point, then there can be a commitment on when that be paid. But there are processes to go through to get to funding the additional budget. So I agree with the CS.
Yes.
It is not right to make a commitment here, but it shall be looked into and it shall be prioritized. I think that's but we should.
Now you are making things worse. You are making things worse.
It's making it worse.
You are going in a